All right, beautiful people, welcome back to another amazing and impactful episode of the Truvel Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. Y'all know how we do. I'm your host, Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and as usual, it is my honor, it is my privilege, it is my ultimate pleasure in life. Oh, it's funny. It's funny now, huh? To have the beautiful, the laughing, the smiling, the intelligent, the dream-catching, earring-wearing queen herself. Please introduce yourself.
What's up, party people?
She's singing now. Y'all hear this, right? Oh, goodness.
What's up, everyone? My name is Sinclair, aka
Theeehealthnerd.
And I'm excited to be here. A little tired, not gonna lie.
Yep, it's another one of those $1 billion days.
Yeah, out in the sun, a little bit drained, but happy to be here. Especially for the topic of today, which is our love and our first year of marriage.
Yes. Baby, it's you. You're the one I want. You're the one I need. You're the only one I see. Come on, baby, it's you. You're welcome. If y'all listen to this, I'm so sorry. Actually. But shout out to our folks listening on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Music, all that good stuff. We appreciate the love and support on the audio and podcast listening platforms. If you're not, feel free to tell a friend, share the love. And if you're watching on YouTube, Truvel Forever TV, much appreciated. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. So, like the Queen said, today we are going to be talking about love, and more specifically, kind of our own wedding, marriage, and just our experience with the first year of that process. And for me, I feel like I didn't talk to too many people beforehand. The month of getting married, talked to a bunch of people, but before that, I hadn't really known too much about what to expect or how to deal with the first year of marriage. What are things to look forward to? What are things that I can do well as a husband? So just trying to give you that stuff, that experience. Hopefully there's some value in there for folks that are listening, whether you found your partner and your love yet, or you're still out there searching, or you're still out there hoping that they'll come or be sent to you. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. So, first thing that we want to talk about, Queen, is what were your expectations of what marriage is supposed to be? So whatever that is, whether the roles that you were supposed to have as a wife, whether the roles I was supposed to have as a husband, what were you expecting out of marriage?
I feel like I was, especially probably younger, very much expecting the kind of typical picture of what marriage looks like. So I've been blessed to have two parents who've been married my whole childhood.
28 years.
Yes, just celebrated their 28-year anniversary. So I, was blessed to be able to see that all the way growing up and see that the love that they shared, and saw that, and they did. And I don't know what agreements or what dynamics that they necessarily had at the beginning of their marriage, but they did seem to take on some of the typical roles that we see, like a man and wife, or two partners take. But specifically, we're talking stereotypically and typically a man and wife, and a husband and wife, in terms of my mom did do most of the cooking, but on Mondays my dad would be off, so that would be his day to cook. So both parents cooked, but my mom did most of the cooking throughout the week.
So, I don't know if your parents listen to the podcast or not. Who cooked better? I don't know if they're listening, so I don't know what type of trouble you might get in.
You're going to get me in trouble, because then we're going to be at my parents' house and we're going to be watching YouTube like last time. And it's going to be showing up and they're going to be like, hey, Okay.
That was funny. For those, so we were on our YouTube channel watching our wedding video, and then you know how YouTube will bring up the next video, and it happened to be the 5 love language episode that we did, which is a really good episode. Y'all should go back and check it out. But the queen was talking about like her own kind of childhood and how she felt like the love language that she knows is her now, which is words of affirmation. She wasn't getting that as a child, and then like she quickly like left the room. What that dude to do? I'm gonna work on homework now. I was like, oh, okay. And then her parents like, huh? What is this we're talking about? We didn't love you. Oh, good times. But it was a good, I think, learning experience to talk through it. And, you know, I talked about love language with them. I know I felt like you were kind of just too shocked about the situation to really dive into that conversation at that point with them. But I think it was a good conversation to have with our parents and let them know what our love language is. Because there's still, hopefully, a lot of years to be loved by our parents. So it's important for them to know that stuff. Long story short, Queen, which parent throws down?
I thought you were going to forget about that.
No, what? Which parent, growing up, not now, growing up, which parent did you prefer to cook?
Probably my mom.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like my dad, if I remember correctly, my dad's go-to was spaghetti.
And you were just like,
spaghetti has never been on the top of my list. I don't remember the last time I've had spaghetti because it's just to me. And the reason why it was hard for me is because my dad did do a lot of the baking though. So a lot of the experimental baking, the little chocolate lava cakes that we would make. Anything we tried to make homemade, like even like pancakes and stuff like that. Usually my dad was doing that. And you know how I'm about my baked goods. So that's why I'm like...
She's very serious about her baked goods, y'all.
Peach cobblers, like... So that's when I'm like, So for dinner, probably my mom it's kind of unfair. She did more of the cooking, so like she had more of the dishes that I think that that I enjoyed. But yes, my dad could throw down with those desserts, and of course on the grill, grilling steaks and stuff. I love me a good steak.
Mr. Wilson got skills on the grill.
Ribs, all that good stuff. So it's tough, but I would have to say back then probably my mom.
Okay. So circling back to the marriage expectations, so you started covering like roles. As part of marriage, you were expecting that the wife would do most of the cooking, maybe not all, and then what were the roles that you were expecting the husband to do?
The first thing that comes is yard work. He's very diligent about his yard work. He's also good, like a handyman almost too, because although it wasn't not always successful, but like whenever we did have an issue, he would try to fix it. With my cars, like he was always pretty good about knowing, maybe not being able to fix it, but at least knowing what the issue was. Even once I was older and got my first car, like he would show me how to change the tire and change the oil and all that stuff. So I feel like it's kind of the typical, like, knows how to fix cars and do yard work and that type of stuff. So I feel like I grew up, and I don't know if that influenced my desire to cook right now. It's very possible. I think as of now, it's not a gender role thing that's why I like to cook, but it's very possible that did influence. But yeah, I feel like that was kind of my expectation, is just and even my favorite shows, like I wasn't really into like the cartoons as much as a kid. Like I never was into like Pokemon or Digimon or anything of that stuff, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, those are, top 5.
Yeah, I don't know, I wasn't into that stuff. But I was, like, as soon as I understood what was going on, I was into, like, The Cosby Show and, like, Fresh Prince and That's So Raven.
Like, because of the family aspect?
I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know what drew me to those shows, but maybe it was just because it was more realistic. It was more real life. Like,
you were a kid, like, what's up with all this cartoon stuff?
Yeah, what is this?
I want the real.
There's no Pokemon in real life.
There is now. Pokemon
Go. Right. Who knew? But yeah, so I feel like growing up watching those types of shows where they were very black family centered, and not even just black family centered. Like I would watch Full House. I'd watch all the shows, all the family shows. So I feel like seeing those roles, I feel like probably also reinforced my thoughts of what a wife and a husband should do.
Another thing is also like those shows also had kids in them.
Right.
So it's like not only are they family based, but there's also kids that are your age when you were watching it. So it's like, oh, I am Ruby, or I am what are the twins in Full House?
I don't remember what their names are in Full House. They're Mary Kate and Ashley. Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, it's like you can, because
Michelle.
they were young. There we go. Because they were young, you were young. I feel like you might be able to empathize and see those characters. Similar to why people watch Disney channels. Like those are real shows, but they're kid shows.
Right.
So for me, marriage expectations, and if you have more things, feel free to sprinkle as I go. But I feel like it's kind of similar to what you were saying, as far as my mom growing up did most of the cooking. My dad throw down a little bit, and I feel like his main thing that he would make is the sloppy Joe tacos, probably. But my mom would cook a whole bunch of different stuff.
That seems like something your dad would probably cook.
Sloppy Joe tacos, hamburger helper, like the real stuff that, you know, could taste good, but it wasn't like real cooking, chefing. I feel like my mom grew up, her dad was a professional chef, worked for UC Santa Barbara. Yeah, my grandpa was a chef, worked for UC Santa Barbara. So I feel like when she was growing up, she had her dad cooking, which is, you know, reverse gender roles, but she learned how to cook. Right. So then when she became a mom, she's thrown down in the kitchen. Something that's slightly different with my parents, and I think I kind of had this expectation, but I also try to not have it at the same time, which is a weird thing in consciousness. But they were very adamant about splitting stuff financially. So like they were, you know, splitting bills 50-50. They were making sure that you have your money, I have my money. And I feel like that was kind of my expectation of what marriage is. It was like, okay, you're coming with 50%, I'm coming with 50%, and together we're making 100%. As far as yard work, I feel like, Dad wasn't a handyman. I'm not a handyman. I feel like we know enough to get by. You know, I can hang a picture. I can change a battery.
Yelp and apps these days, you don't really need to be. You could get.
Shout out to technology. You know,
find whatever you need.
Yeah.
A click away.
Much love. But yeah, so I feel like the handyman aspect wasn't necessarily a part of it, but I think just like taking care of the house was kind of a part of it. Taking out the trash was always a part of it. That was always either my dad's job or that was my job. Once I became quote unquote a man or a boy with responsibility, like that was stuff that I was doing. So I feel like those are kind of roles that we're expecting out of marriage. Something else that I was kind of expecting out of marriage is, and this is based off what I've seen and what like friends were telling me even like a month before, was I was expecting the relationship to change. And more times than not, change in a bad way. Because I feel like people, again, this is based on like what I've seen and like friends that are telling me stuff. It's like your boyfriend and girlfriend, there's not like a lot of pressure on you to do these things, and it's like real young, it's real playful. And then people are always like, oh well, wait until you get married, all the fun's over. Wait until you get married, happy wife, happy life, as if the husband can't be happy at the same time. So I feel like a part of me was also like, when I get married, my happiness is gonna go down because my happiness is controlled by only making my wife happy, which I feel like it's something that I am proudful of doing. I feel like I love trying to make you happy, but I feel like there's also times where you make me happy or where I make myself happy.
That's important too.
Right. Definitely equally important, but I think like the happy wife, happy life is just really put out there, and it makes it seem like the husband is just irrelevant.
Just here.
Yes. Which is a great transition to the wedding expectations, because your boy over here was very insignificant. Not in the planning. I feel like we were both involved in the planning. I feel like you definitely took more ownership and pride in the planning because that's what you do. And I was like, hey queen, do your thing. But like even the planners, what was her name, Jane, when we went off to the thing, she was just like, I was just sitting there, and then she was just like talking directly to you, and I was just sitting there
not
like,
there.
y'all guys not even gonna acknowledge your boy in the house, like come on. But can you talk a little bit about your expectations of what a wedding was supposed to be? And then I also want to talk a little bit about the experience of the actual wedding. So yeah, go ahead, hit us off, Queen.
So my expectations for the wedding were not as concrete, because actually, no, that's a lie. I would say from my personal experiences, I didn't have a whole lot to go off of. I had only been to 2 weddings in my whole life, and they were both when I was younger. So I had only picked up on whatever I was able to comprehend at that time. And honestly, if there was a dance floor, it wasn't much because I was on the dance floor. That's all I cared about. And food. So I feel like the aspects of what does it feel like to be at a wedding and what exactly is supposed to happen, I didn't exactly know. But what I did know is that I was a fan of TLC, the channel.
Okay.
Where there was a lot of
the group.
No, where there was a lot of wedding shows. So like and I don't even know, like say not like Say Yes to the Dress, but it was the one where they would look for like wedding dresses and plan different weddings. So those are the shows that I liked to watch. Of like, you know, oh my god, I can't wait till you marry me. Like wedding dress. I loved like looking at wedding dresses. So I feel like, but that's TV. So it was like I only really had that to go off of, and then the couple of weddings I had gone to. So. And this is, like I said, before the planning process. I feel like once we got the planning process, we went to 2 more weddings before we actually got married.
Corin, Angel.
And then JT and Liz.
JT, Liz, yeah.
So
that definitely, I think, gave us a better sense, especially me, because I was a groomsman in JT's wedding. Shout out JT and Liv. Much love.
Right.
Also designer tattoos.
8.
Much love, JT. But I think that was cool because I was able to be a groomsman. We were able to go out there and be there for, I think, the week or the 4 days before their wedding. And I think we took that as kind of a model for even our own wedding. So I think that was definitely helpful to be a part of.
Yeah. So I feel like that those were very helpful. But before that, I feel like I didn't have too many very strict expectations on what a wedding was supposed to be. I just knew, like, all right, people are there. You say vows. I didn't know a lot of the traditions, like anything like that. And I wear a pretty dress. And then there's a reception where there's food and dance and alcohol.
You were sold. Like, yeah, sign me up.
Sounds like my kind of party.
And how close was it? So that was your expectations?
Yes.
Based on what you actually experienced day of our amazing, beautiful wedding. Sorry to kind of already leave
It
you.
sucked.
It was terrible. But how did your expectations match up to the experience of 7/7/19?
Definitely exceeded my expectations.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Come on. Yes.
In every way except duration, because it was so short. It seems like that, and that's one thing that I did hear from a lot of people, that it goes so fast, and that is, boy, is that true. Now I feel like we did have a short wedding.
How long was our wedding?
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. Gosh.
My bad. You be taking your time, you know.
So ours was 4.5 hours. Very strict because we were on a yacht, so it was like you get on and then you get off. It wasn't no really lollygagging there. Right. We couldn't extend it or anything like that. So it was 4.5. I think a typical wedding probably 5 to 6. So that half hour to hour and a half definitely made a difference, I think. So most of the weddings I feel like I had been to, there was a lot of downtime, there was a lot of waiting, there was a lot of, and that was not the case for ours. Now obviously we were the ones moving, but I feel like I heard from even a lot of the guests, like there wasn't a lot of chilling or waiting, like we kept it moving. But yeah, no, I think it exceeded my expectations way far because one, the venue was freaking amazing.
It was popping, y'all.
Yeah, we got married at Hornblower in Newport Beach on a yacht, Endless Dreams, and it was I had pictured myself probably getting married near the water, like that was always in my dream, in my plan, but on the water, I hadn't necessarily planned for on the water. Like that was another step above, and then just like having everybody there. Planning the dance, like that was just all part of the experience. That was just amazing. It was just fantastic.
Nice. Glad it worked out for you, babe.
Yes, it did. It really did.
Anything else you want to say before I hit mine?
I wish I had time to actually finish my drinks.
Yeah, we was moving. We had like a sip of this drink, a sip of that drink, a sip of this drink.
Here, here's your drink. Here, thanks. Oh, come over here. Oh, where's my drink?
Yeah.
And I'm sober.
Yeah, so that was, I feel like maybe a blessing, but also at the same time, you know, I feel like you do want to be able to get loose, but I feel like it's good to be able to, you know, not not overdo it and not forget your wedding. So the fact that we were sober, obviously we have videos to remember, but I feel like we remember it because we were sober, and I think that's good. I've heard of other people who just drink too much of their wedding and they literally can't remember the wedding because they drink so much. So I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, definitely.
So for me, wedding expectations off top, expensive.
Yeah.
Was my expectation of what weddings are. They cost a lot of money, and I feel like that was true. That was true. Another expectation I had is that it is kind of the bride's day, and that, you know, as the husband, which I feel like it's just a weird theme in unions, which is interesting because I feel like the power dynamic historically is the man is in charge of the marriage, but it's also like the marriage is about the woman. So I feel like that's an interesting what's it called when things don't match up? Oxymoron, conundrum, counterintuitive, some word. Y'all figure it out, podcast listeners. We appreciate y'all. But I feel like that's interesting. But yeah, going into it, I expected it to be all about you, and I'm just kind of there as a prop, as a person to hold you and walk you down.
I wanted to try my best to make sure that you didn't feel like that for most of it.
Yeah, well, we'll get to how the experience was.
Here we go.
But those were my expectations. That one, it was going to be an expensive thing to do, and I felt like I was on the border of like, let's just go get married in Vegas. Let's just go get married somewhere else and use this money to buy a house. And you were like, no, I want a wedding. So I was like, cool, wedding it is. It's about you. Happy wife, happy life. Let's get this wedding done. What else did I expect from the wedding? I did expect it to be fun though. So although I was expecting it not to be about me, I was expecting it to be about the beautiful bride, her beautiful melanated smiling self. Yes. I was expecting it to be about you, but I was still expecting to have fun. Because when I watch movies, when I watch The Best Man, when I watch The Best Man 2, when I watch Think Like a Man 2, when I watch Soul Food, when I watch all these kind of black love movies, the weddings are always fun.
They're lit.
Yeah, they're lit. And it's always, I love the cross generations of the weddings. Like you have the little babies there, you have the grandmas there, the aunties, the cousins, the friends. Yeah, and everyone's just having a good, it's like a family reunion basically. So I think that was another expectation that I had. Now the actual experience, I would say, was expensive. Y'all heard her. It was on a yacht.
Which is not as expensive as you probably think it is.
It's expensive, y'all. It's not maybe as expensive as you're thinking it is.
It's not as expensive as other places.
Yeah, see, the car honking outside is disagreeing with Sinclair. I hope y'all know that. They're on my side. Alright, we get it. But anyway, so it's not as expensive, but again, if you're thinking about spending upwards of $15,000 on a single day, it's like, you know, it's a little bit expensive.
Right. I guess when I'm, as a person who did a lot of research on venues, when you have to rent them compared to a lot of other places, it is not as expensive as you might think. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all can see the value difference already. And again, I'm not taking it back. It was a beautiful day. If I had the choice to spend the money again, I would of course spend the money again. But just saying, expensive. Now, what else was the experience? So as far as being this seen, I felt like I was seen in the wedding. I felt like I was there. I felt like people were also congratulating me, congratulating you, saying, "Oh my God, you look so beautiful, Sinclair. Oh my God, Devon, I love your shoes." It was mostly my shoes, honestly.
They were fire.
Yeah, the shoes were fire. Fuego. Shout out to Ona for helping me source those shoes. But what else? Something else about the expectation and experience was, and I forgot about this. I had a conversation with my man Ryan, and he was saying how he took a lot of pride in paying for their wedding. And I felt like also as the husband coming in, as a man in a relationship, I took a lot of pride and I wanted to be able to pay for this wedding. So that's something, and her family or the Wilson family did chip in, so that was definitely a blessing. But I feel like it is a point of pride for me as a husband, as a man, to be like, yeah, I paid for most of our wedding. And I think that's where the expensiveness comes in, because it's like, no, don't downplay how much money I put down. Yeah, like, don't be like, it's not expensive. No. I paid it. I swiped it. It's expensive. Give me my value. So I feel like, thank you. Yes, appreciate that. I got that.
It was a lot of money, though. It was.
See how the tone switch up real quick. I appreciate that. What else was I expecting? And then lastly, the whole like feeling like a party, feeling the vibes. I feel like it did feel like a freaking movie.
Right.
100% felt like a vibe. It was a movie, from again, like watching her come down the aisle, like watching what else happened? Her grandma dancing in the middle of the dance thing, like watching our friends stroll around and have Greeks there. You coming out as a freaking Beyonce dancer and coming out and dancing to Love on Top. Like, it was just a dope wedding. And then I came out with the Rolls Royce surprise. So we got picked up in a nice Rolls Royce car. So I felt like it was just a complete movie. In my head, it was a movie. But then we also obviously got the video, and we rewatched the video, and it's a movie. It's dope. So I would say, bit of advice, like if you are getting married, definitely 100% invest in the videographer.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a little bit like ours were a couple stacks, but I feel like to be able to have that video and all that footage and be able to watch it for the rest of your life, and your kids can watch it, and it's just you can't put a price on those memories. So I would say, again, at first, like I was even like, I don't know, but now that I'm watching, I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm so glad I paid for this. It's for sure 100% worth it. Get a good videographer. Put the money into it. Anything else on the wedding experiences versus expectations?
No, I just think, aside from even how it was for us, I feel like we had a lot of people telling us like that was the best wedding I've ever been to. Like that was just a fun experience.
And I think that's where it was too short comes in, because honestly, and no shade to the weddings I have been to, JT, Corey, not directly to you, I've been to a lot of weddings, but the weddings that I've gone to, sometimes they feel like they're too long. And I feel the same thing with graduations. I'm just sitting there, they feel too long. So like, I want our wedding to feel like, all right, it's cool, you're out and you're good. And I feel like the fact that it was so fun, people wanted it to be longer. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a good sign. Yeah, someone say about that. I feel like because it was so fun, it was so lit, people were just like, bro, why can't we just be out here in the ocean for a couple of days? Let's turn this into a cruise. Man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, for the 10-year, come through. For the 10-year, we got some.
See us in 10 years.
See us in 10 years, you know what I'm saying? We're going to be popping. Anyway, all right, so on to the next one. Sorry, we digressed a little bit on that one. Y'all can tell we love the wedding. Definitely invest the money. I'm talking to the fellas, the ladies, the people, whoever is going to be the person that pays for the wedding. Definitely invest in it. It is quality time. Obviously, it's a quality moment in life that you can't get back. So those commas, those dollar signs may hurt up front, but you will definitely feel the investment later on. So don't be afraid to go ahead and swipe. All right, so can you talk a little bit about the highlight of being married for the first year? What was in your eyes, the highlight of our amazing union as Sinclair and Devon Walker?
I think the first thing that came to mind was us getting this spot. So purchasing our first piece of property, I think, was just a power move as a couple, but also I feel like the fact that we got to fully decorate this place and make it ours, it's very much, I feel like, a manifestation of us, just this place.
Oh yeah.
And our love, like if you've been here, you see it's all over the place. Like I feel like it is very us. It makes it very homey, and I feel like it just put like a little stamp on the marriage of like, oh yep, y'all married now. You got a place now. It's yours. It's your home. It's where like we love this place. Like we love to be here. We love to be home. We love to be with each other out on the balcony, out in the living room. You know, cooking, whatever. So I feel like definitely getting this place and not. To me, it was a very big milestone for us because it's an accomplishment. It's a stressful situation to go through as a newlywed couple. But yeah, also I feel like it is a manifestation of our love and the fact that we got to put our personality and our love into this place. I feel like is a very big highlight for me.
Agreed. And we planned it fairly well, and I think I would. If you're able to do this, I would suggest doing this the same. Is literally we got married in July. We closed escrow in August. So we closed escrow in August, and then we moved into the new spot. So when we came back from our honeymoon, we then packed up our old spot and then, donated our stuff, and then we were able to come to our new house. So it was like really starting our life together. Even though we've already been dating for over 6 years, over 7 years, we've already known each other for a heck of years, but being able to come and own something together from the ground up and decorate it as a unified couple was definitely a dope experience. And I think it continues to be a dope experience because we're still here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Mine. Let's see. Let's talk to me. I might go with. The property one is obviously top. But I feel like I don't want to copy you. So I'm going to go with, I think the honeymoon was pretty popping.
It was popping.
And I don't know if that's too soon to really be a highlight, but yeah, the fact that after our honeymoon we were able to travel, go to Italy, go to Spain, go to France, thank you. I don't know locations. I just be traveling, to be honest with y'all. Much love. Thanks, baby. But I think that was really cool to be just out there and be like, yeah, we're married.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's the highlight. Just to be able to call you my wife.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't think it. Cause I feel like beforehand, fiance is like a weird in between.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's my fiance. He's my fiance. That's a weird in between, an awkward in between for me. And then obviously, girlfriend. No disrespect to all the girlfriends and boyfriends out there, but I feel like girlfriend, like you don't have the oomph in it. So I feel like being able to, say, oh, my wife did this, or me and my wife did this, I feel like gives me a sense of pride, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like a little subtle romantic flex on people. Like, oh, he married, he got a wife? I was like, yeah, what I'm saying, my wife. So I think that was cool to be able to finally say that.
That I agree that's been a really cool thing of like it even like took a few times for me to be like my husband, like, oh snap, like he's my husband now, like oh my husband.
Keep doing that, I appreciate it. Okay, so flip side, low point. There's a low point or things that you feel like we may have struggled with or was a barrier in our first year of marriage that second year we're about to just take over, knock out.
Well, I don't know. Before we had the same one, so I'm gonna keep that one. At the beginning of this whole pandemic thing, I had to still go to work while he was working from home, and I think during that time, because I had to work also at a different shift, we didn't.
What time did you work?
I had to work from 1 to 10. It wasn't really the best, but so I did that for almost a month, right? Like 3 weeks. I did that for like 3 weeks, and because we had not really had, since we had been living together, we hadn't had a time where we weren't on the same schedule.
Yeah.
So I feel like we went to work around the same time, we came home around the same time, and we got to spend the night together. So I feel like this being a shift to where now we don't really see each other that much. I would wake up, he would be pretty much working already, working from home. Although he's working from home, he's still got to be in here on meetings or whatever. And then I'd go home, and then by the time I come back, it's like, all right, I've eaten, he's eaten, now we're just talking. We would talk, but then we go to bed.
Yeah, it was like 11 something. I'm tired. I've been working all day.
But it wasn't nearly as much as what we were used to. So I feel like because it did persist for 3 weeks, that did kind of put a little bit of a rift in the relationship in terms of now I have, and I'll get to how we can work on improving it or whatever afterwards. But I feel like it was like I physically have less time now to spend with my husband and not have as I normally did the cooking. Again, not out of a wifely duty, but just because I like cooking and it's pretty darn good food.
Fire food.
So it's like I was usually doing the cooking, so now I'm not home to do the cooking. Didn't cook in the morning, so it's just like I'm eating out. He's got to fend for himself for dinner. So I wasn't doing the cooking, and I wasn't here to have those nice fruitful conversations we're used to ask how was your day, how are you doing, how are you feeling. So we didn't have as many of those conversations as we were used to, and I feel like that did kind of put, it changed the dynamic for a little bit, and I feel like it gave us our first little hiccup, to where it was like, okay, we had to kind of sit down and be like, this is how I'm feeling, this is what you have done that's made me feel this way, and this is how we can improve it. And I feel like that was our first kind of situation to where the normal that we were used to was not the situation we were in. We had to adapt to the situation, and it took a little bit of time for us to get in the groove. But yeah, that was the love point for me.
Yep. And to give a little bit more context, so we did the love language test, which we highly suggest all couples, or even if you're not a couple, if you're a single person, you want to know how people can love you and how you love other people, take the love language test. It's free. It's not a plug. We get no money for it. No sponsor. Just go take it. But we took that test and we found out that the queen loves words of affirmation, and I am a acts of service person. So those are our two love languages. So the fact that for 2-3 weeks, she really had no time to do acts of service.
Right.
So again, for me as a husband, I'm just like, man, where's my love at? And it wasn't her fault, obviously, because she was working, so she couldn't do those things. But again, from my perspective, those were things that I was feeling that I still needed. So that's where we had to over communicate, and I think that's something that we pride ourselves on as a couple, being able to talk about things. So just over communicate and be like, hey queen, I feel like I need something. I don't know what it is, but I need something. She's like, oh, I'm trying, my time is like this, but this schedule is not happening anymore, so we can go back. But I feel like something in the future, and we did talk about this because we obviously have big ambitions, and there's going to be times where the health nerd over here writes an international book and she's in Europe doing her thing, I'm in Jamaica doing my thing, and maybe we're not together for 3 weeks. So how can we make sure that the hiccup that we experienced in the first year of our marriage doesn't repeat and manifest later on in another year of our marriage?
Right.
So we just talked about other strategies that I can do and that she can do to still make sure that we're both communicating our love languages to each other when we might not have time physically with each other.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's even going to be more important once kids come into the picture, because then your focus completely, shifts onto these little human beings. So I feel like naturally you're going to have less time to spend with each other. So I feel like between the kids that will come and then the ambitions and all the goal and traveling that we'll probably have to do, I think, it'll definitely be important for us.
That's why I think the love language is so cool to know.
Right.
Because there's no guesswork. If I know words of affirmation is your love language, then it's like, all right, if I only have 5 minutes, let me call you and give you some words of affirmation.
Right.
If I only have 5 minutes, let me write you a poem real quick and send it to you. Like, there's things that I can do in a short amount of time. If I know who you are, and I know what your soul needs, it's like, cool, let me do this, and it's going to be efficient, it's going to be effective.
Yep.
So take the test, y'all. It's real quick, a little something, take it. It can help marriage out a little bit. Yep. For me, learning points would be, I think that was obviously, like, we both agreed upon that, but for the sake of giving more, and I'm actually starting to pull back from this a little bit, and we talked about this earlier, and it was the fact that because we are business partners, it's very easy for us to talk about business all the time. And I feel like that's something that I'm trying to work on, is making sure that we have a more balanced relationship, and we're not just talking about business, we're also talking about whatever else normal couples talk about. I don't know what y'all talk about, y'all let me know, but we can talk about other things like the weather, pandemics, music, hair, curls, I don't know. But talk about other things other than just what we're trying to build in the vision. Now, my slight rebuttal to that is I feel like couples usually talk about their days.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about their experience and what's happening in their life. And I feel like typically couples aren't together. They're like, you know, your mom works at the school, your dad works at the air quality, so it's like cool when they come together, they're now talking about their various jobs that the other person wasn't there for.
Right.
So I feel like as a couple who's trying to be a entrepreneurship couple and build these businesses and have $1 billion days out here, you know what I'm saying? $1 billion day club, come join. I feel like it's hard for us to avoid talking about business if that's our day.
Right.
You know, you're the CEO of Potluck, you're going to want to talk about what you did for Potluck today. If I'm the CEO and founder of Playback Wall Street, I'm going to want to talk about Playback Wall Street, but we also both work for each other's company and visions.
Right.
So I feel like it's hard to not talk about business when that's your job and that is your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, a part of me is like, we should talk about less, but also a part of me is like, we're not the same as other couples, so we don't necessarily have to talk and act like other couples because our time and our life isn't their life.
Yeah, as you were talking about, like, what do people talk about? And I was just like, music. Yeah, I feel like music, I think we talk about music. But like weather, it's like, that's such a small talk thing. We've never talked about the weather.
We talk about stuff like, what color is your aura?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's not business related. So I think we do have conversations.
But they're just deeper, and I feel like here's the thing: they do often lead to some type of business related because that's how our minds work. Of like, oh, okay, so yeah, we'll talk about this. So what if we could do this? Or so what if we, what if someone, and not necessarily something that we're gonna go do, but it's always just like, I feel like it naturally leads to a like problem solving mode because that's the type of people we are. But I feel like we have very deep conversations about just random things that other people probably don't think about. But
except for Javon and Josie, they be having some deep conversations.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
But I feel like, like you said, like I feel like it's normally like, okay, how was your day? But if our days are kind of blended, we kind of know how days are a little bit. So I feel like we just need to figure out what our groove is going to be and find our balance, not necessarily comparing ourselves to other couples, because it's apples and oranges.
Right. There you go. So that was a little live therapy session right there, y'all. So don't compare yourselves to other couples, which I feel like is so easy to do.
Yeah.
Even if it's a good way, like, oh, they talk about all this other stuff. Why can't we be like that? You know, sometimes that's not your vibe. Maybe that's not your frequency. So yeah, let me know, Queen, how you want to work on that. We can either talk about that on the podcast or off the podcast. Probably off because I see your eyes. But let me know what we should be doing moving forward in year 2 to balance out that business deep conversation / just random talking. Let me know. Okay. Deep question for you.
There you go.
Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. So, and it's gonna go both ways, so don't worry. And if you want me to go first, I can go first. But what have you learned about your partner, aka me? My bad. What have you learned about your partner that you feel you can either, I don't like the word use, but what have you learned about your partner, me, this year that you feel you can use in the future to make our relationship and our marriage stronger? And again, you want me to go first? Let me know.
You got it.
All right. So, and this goes towards your when we discover your superpower is being an analytical thinker. I feel like that is going to be a huge benefit for us as a couple, as a business, and as a family one day. And I even said that today when we were parking on a hill, and I put the parking brake on, and then we were about to get out of the car, and she was like, "Did you put the parking brake on?"
The way you said that.
Did you put the parking brake on? And I feel like the initial reaction that I probably would have typically had, I feel like normal people would have been like, "Yeah, I did. Get out of my business. I did it." But I feel like instead I leaned into it like, okay, this is her superpower. She's just checking and making sure I did these things. So I was like, thank you for your cautious and analytical, beautiful mind. I appreciate it, Queen. And she just laughed at it. But I feel like, because especially as a family, like putting car seats in a car and making sure that your baby is secure in the car. So having an analytical and cautious person is going to be a freaking superpower and amazing kind of, I think, de-stress. Obviously, I'm still going to worry about it, but I'm always going to know she's going to for sure make sure that's there. I'm trying to think of other things, like in business stuff, like making sure that the steps that we're taking are the legal and right and proper steps. Mm-hmm. That's for sure not my job. My job is like the innovation, the ideas, let's get it done. And I feel like being able to rely on her to be like, all right, but Devon, how about this step? Mm-hmm. Devon, how about this step? Is, I think, again, a great superpower and a great thing for our relationship. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, although it does get on my nerves, not gonna front, although I'm like, dang it, stop overthinking it, let's just do it. I feel like now, like that I've been a year into the marriage part, and like, you wanna, I feel like a deeper level because we live together more. I think that is, a superpower, and I feel like I need to appreciate that more about you and make sure that you continue to use it, because I think the worst case is if I make you feel uncomfortable and I make you like, oh, stop saying stuff to me, mm-hmm. Now you're not going to use that superpower, or you're not going to say it when you know you should. And there's going to be a situation where your analytical mind would have been an extremely good thing, or maybe even save our life, but because I've always nagged you on it, you don't use it.
Right.
So I do want to make sure, since that's who you are naturally, I need to lean into who you are and make sure that we can manifest and use that superpower again for the benefit of our union. Keep smiling, Queen.
Thanks. So I think for you, what just kidding. What I think what I learned that it's not, I wouldn't necessarily say that I didn't know, but I think was very much reaffirmed, and especially through our little learning point, is that you do. I feel like I've always thought of you as a very low maintenance individual, in terms of like, you don't require a whole lot to be happy, which is a good thing. In terms of like, you've even said this like from first couple days of May, like, I'm a simple man.
Yeah.
It's like,
man, don't simple need too much.
So I feel like that's very much been ingrained in my head. I'm like, oh, all I need to do is kind of be me, and then I'll be fine. I need to do is be me, and that'll be enough, and that will, and that's still true, but, and that will be as good as I need to be as a partner, if that makes sense. Like, that's kind of what I thought beforehand. And I feel like this year of marriage has kind of made me realize that, like, no, you still need to do things actively to make sure that you feel nurtured, specifically. Because I feel like, again, before it was just like, oh no, he's fine. Like, Devon's fine. He's fine. He's always happy. He's always like, he doesn't need a whole lot to feel happy, But at the end of the day, it's like, it takes more than just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I feel like it clicked a little bit for me of like, it's, yes, he's low maintenance, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve the same effort and the same like intentional love being put towards him, if that makes sense. Because I feel like you're very, and yes, my superpower, my love language is words of affirmation, so you're very good at pouring that into me. And beautiful. Thanks. See? And I feel like I feel like, again, I've always been like, oh, he's a simple man, he's low maintenance, so I don't need to do a whole lot. But it's like, at the end of the day, that shouldn't be, that's a very minimalist kind of mediocre type of mindset to have. So I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like every day needs to be a fight for that individual. And every day I need to be making sure that I'm nurturing you and, giving you the time and the energy and that you need, but also that you want and that you desire and that you deserve, even if you don't think you need it. So I feel like that was one click that I need to switch from, oh, he only needs this bare minimum, so that's all I'm gonna give, to like, but he deserves this, so that's what you should be giving, regardless of what he says he needs. Gotcha. So I feel like that's something that I learned about you, is that you're, I don't necessarily, that you do require nurturing on a consistent basis to feel loved and to feel important.
Thanks, Queen. I appreciate that. This is a beautiful little session, y'all. Y'all better, come on, we better find y'all some love. Y'all better find y'all some love out here, okay? So, you know, the lovey-dovey stuff is about to go down. So we about to wrap up this episode. That way we can, you know, get to our marriage stuff. So, let's wrap up the episode. So, Queen, before we let folks go, one tip or piece of advice that you have, and I feel like I don't want to necessarily narrow it down to just people in marriage, but just people out there trying to have a successful relationship, okay? And obviously it's an ongoing and striving process, but one piece of advice for folks out there striving to have a successful relationship.
We've already mentioned it on other podcast episodes, on the Love Language podcast episode, and we've already mentioned it in this episode, but I'm going to repeat it because I think it is very important to learn each other's love language, one, but also learn each other's superpower. What's another word for just like natural behaviors?
Yeah, there you go.
Because that usually is always at the root of why someone is doing what they're doing. So rather than getting upset that like, oh, he did that again or whatever, realize that like that's because he is this type of person and that is what he values. It doesn't mean that he's trying to get on your nerves, right? It's just because that's the type of person. So I feel like understanding that gives you a better, like it allows you to look at the full picture. I feel like before you're probably just looking at it like from real close and saying like, man, he keeps doing this and it gets on my nerves, right? Like,
what do I do?
I'm just thinking more generally.
I know there's stuff that I do.
I'm not. It's literally nothing in my like specific in my head. I'm just talking more generally. But like,
right.
Whatever it is, but you know that other person's doing this and maybe it's clashing with what you want, and rather than thinking like, oh, they're trying to intentionally not do what I want or, you know, make me mad or whatever, realize that it's probably just their natural behavior, that it's naturally how they react, that's naturally how they are. Don't expect that to change because that's how they are, and kind of learn how to adapt to that. Have those conversations on, hey, instead of doing this, maybe we can do this, or hey, it just brings a level of awareness to the situation and to the relationship so that you don't make assumptions. Because assumptions are not good in any relationship. I think one, over communication. This is a point of this is a way of over communicating is, hey, I'm this type of person and these are my needs. This is how my brain works. And make sure that you understand from both points of view on a deeper level, like how you operate as a human being. Because I feel like it will make things a little bit more smooth when there are bumps in the road. You'll be able to say like, okay, you're good at that. Why don't you handle that? And I'm going to go handle this. And it's not even, yes, we're business partners and it helps on that front, but even just as a personal relationship, it definitely helps.
Can you talk to the insurance and mortgage company, please?
Right.
I was having a headache. I was like, Queen, please, just do it.
Perfect example, like those types of things. But if we gotta go someplace where I know we gotta sweet talk somebody into doing something, I'm like, babe.
Oh, that's my job.
You got it.
Sweet talker.
You are the sweet talker because you're a people person, so you're good. And I'm very straight to the point. I'm like,
you gonna help us or not?
This is what I need. Can you help me? But he's gonna be like, hey, how you doing? How's your day going? Oh, I love your barrette. Oh.
What did you have for lunch today?
Like, yeah, what did you have for lunch today? Your aura is great. Whatever. But I feel like you're good at, you know, that type of stuff. Whereas, yeah, I'm the good analytical, cautious person. So giving me the paperwork for mortgage and insurance is probably a good thing. Although I don't necessarily enjoy it either, but I'll get it done.
So my piece of advice is going to be twofold. So one, I would say figure out what you and your partner love, not what y'all like, what's kind of cool, but what both of y'all love to do together. So I feel like for us, it's probably travel. You know, traveling, eating, like that experience. I feel like we love to do, whether it's a local trip or international trip, or we go to Pluto. Like, it don't matter. Like, we love to travel, eat food, and just have that experience. And then secondly, find something that each of you all individually love to do. So I think the queen, dancing is something that she loves to do. So she'll go out there, she'll dance, she'll go to classes, she'll teach classes, and I think dance is really her world. The only reason that I ever step into her world is the video, and that's because I love video, right? And then for me, something that I love to do is probably write. I love to write. And when I'm writing, I don't necessarily, sorry queen, I don't necessarily need the queen there while I'm writing books or while I'm writing movies, all that stuff. I'm just in my zone, writing my music, and I can do that for hours. So I feel like having the thing that y'all can do together will obviously bring y'all together, create those memories, but then having something that y'all can do separate will allow y'all to miss each other, allow y'all to develop, have your separate identities, and then obviously always come back to each other as a union. So yeah, y'all got a lot of takeaways. So hopefully you do that. Hopefully you find the love. Hopefully you build that love. You build a strong, successful, beautiful, immortal, galactic love story.
Yes. Oh man, that was beautiful.
It's the sweet talking coming into play. All right, so thank you all again for tuning in to Truvel Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
I'm Sinclair, aka Theeehealthnerd.
Make sure y'all stay healthy. Make sure y'all stay mentally wealthy. And of course, make sure y'all stay true.